Hey, good evening, everyone. It's Monday, May 6th. It's about 9:20 p.m. on the East Coast here, and I'm here to do a BTC analysis real quick. I wanted to go live and explain to you guys what's happening in the price action and what to expect in the bull case as well as the bear cases. All right. So starting off on the 1 hour chart, you could see that there's a inverse head and shoulders sort of being created right here. Maybe that right shoulder has essentially formed and completed as we see price now exceeding past that neckline right there. Okay, so if price closes successfully on the 1 hour or 4 hour time frame, say above 5785, 5800, then I would probably say this is a successful clean move on the inverse head and shoulders pattern on the 1 hour time frame. Okay, the RSI actually has a lot of room to go on the 1 hour time frame, so very positive sign. All right, let's take a look at the 4 hour. The 4 hour, after having a somewhat of a decently sized bearish candle right there, we had a big pump up on this bullish candle. The bulls are essentially relentless in this price action region right here, in this trading range. Okay, so there's something like this being created. All right, here's something like this. All right, so you can see that this is sort of a ascending triangle, right? A lot of wicks hitting this area, but a majority of them closing under it, right? So for the most part, I expect price to pull back down here, maybe to create another higher low, and then keep grinding up into this zone, and then eventually breaking up a little bit higher. All right, so things are going to get really interesting for BTC coming up in the next 24 to 48 hours. All right, let's take a look at the daily and see what the daily has for us. The daily has this big ascending parallel channel, which has been holding up really nicely since the beginning of April. And I'm really surprised that BTC has not even had some false breakdowns past this channel, just to have some big shakeouts and then push back up even higher. Rather, it's been very technically sound in that it's maintaining this channel very strongly. And if we assume that this channel has been valid for the past month, that means that we're pretty overextended to the top side of the channel, and we need a bit of a pullback to the bottom of the channel again. That would imply that prices need to come down to, at the very least, 5,400, maybe 5,300. Okay, so I do think that prices are due for a pullback. I can't definitively say when that's going to happen, but we have a lot of things sort of giving us mixed signals rather. Okay, one of which is the VPVR. Okay, so let's take a look at that. I'm going to turn off all my drawing tools. So here on the VPVR, if you don't know how the volume profile visible range, which is what the VPVR stands for, if you don't know how it works, again, guys, come join my community, cryptosomniac.com. Go to the products page right here and then sign up for the Advantage program. I can explain all these different indicators that we use, why they're useful, how to hedge your bets, how to make good trades and find good trade setups. Okay. All right. So for the most part, you could see that price hitting this area right here. It's hitting the last bit of resistance before it can move higher to some and gravitate to some higher resistance levels. First of which being right around, say, $6,150 to $6,200, and the largest one right around $6,300 to $6,400. Okay. Now, if price keeps on moving up like this, it's definitely going to break towards these levels. What's going to happen at these levels is sort of a hit or miss for anyone to guess, guys. I can honestly tell you that I don't have enough knowledge to be able to predict what's going to happen at these levels. All I can tell you is if you were looking at this from the standpoint of just looking at technicals, there should be a fairly strong rejection around this area. Okay, anywhere between 6,150, 6,000 region all the way to 6,500. All right, but for now, what I can tell you is this is just open air. From 5,800 to say 6,150, there's no resistance in the middle. You can see that the blocks in the middle, there's nothing there, guys. So this is a more, lucrative opportunity. Even if price pulls back a little bit, the odds are in your favor that for the most part, since the beginning of February, you've been consistently moving towards higher lows and higher highs right here. And so the technicals are in your favor to drive prices higher, at least till 6,150, maybe even 6,300. Okay, I hope that makes sense. All right, another thing that's sort of, again, that's giving us a mixed signal. So now that I just gave you the bullish case, right, let me sort of go to the bearish case. Okay, here's the 400 moving average. Okay, it's a moving average that's heavily used in the equity markets because it represents almost an entire year. The average prices of an entire year, right? 400 is pretty close to 365 days in a year. Okay, and for the most part, now we're hitting this 400 moving average almost perfectly, to the point where we're trying to break past it for the past 2 or 3 days, but we haven't quite done so. Now, again, I'm sure this moving average has a lot of bots and algos and smart traders watching, so I'm sure they're seeing the same thing, and they're not probably wanting to trade or buy right here because you're essentially buying into resistance. That's never the smartest thing to do, okay? But closing above this moving average, say 62, 63, even 6,500, now you're talking. Now things would get interesting in this region, okay? This would essentially imply that the 400 moving average was broken successfully, especially if we spend 1 to 2 weeks consolidating above it. Then that we're due for a big bull run, almost imminent in the next couple of months. Okay, I hope that makes sense in terms of the bearish case. All right, now here's something else. Okay, here's the NVT signal that a lot of people follow, and it has been quite useful in the bull and bear market days. Okay, so I'm going to turn off this 400 moving average, and we're just going to focus on price action and NVT signal. Okay, so the NVT signal sort of gave you this overvalued level right here at the top of the bull market, and this was essentially a sell signal. Okay, then over here we had another signal that stated that what's happening on the Bitcoin network is not coordinating well with how high the prices are, meaning that the prices are far more overvalued in terms of what's happening in the network activity of Bitcoin. All through since August all the way till the end of November, it gave you that overvaluation signal, guys. And then what happened? We eventually dumped off. Okay, now as you can see, we're coming up at that same signal. So it's getting really interesting and really peculiar in this area. So that 400 moving average is hitting us. We have the NVT signal that is giving you the overvaluation level. We now have the Bollinger Band right here that's telling you that prices are far too overextended to the upside. Okay, the daily bearish divergence was already playing out that I stated earlier. So you could see how there's a lot of mixed signals. And I'm sorry if you feel like I'm, sort of talking out of both sides of my mouth, but you kind of have to in technicals to be able to hedge your bets properly. And I'll show you how I've hedged my bets in just a minute. But for now, it's important for us to ascertain exactly how BTC is moving in accordance with the appropriate resistance levels that it has ahead. Okay. Now, for the most part, on the smaller time frames, like the 4-hour and the 1-hour, I stated that we have this ascending channel right here. We may still need a retest of this area right here, which is the $5,400 area, which was once resistance right there, right there, right there, all through right here, and then finally broke through it, but couldn't hold it as support, and then broke down again to find some new demand, right? And then we drove up prices all the way to 5,800. But guys, we have yet to test this area of support, okay? So we may need to pull back at the very least to this ascending trend line or this ascending triangle that's been created, or we need to come back to the $5,400 level, ensure that we have some strong support in this region, and then keep on moving up. either way, you need to figure out how to get prepared. So let me show you, okay? One of the ways that we do this is find some of the assets that move strongly with BTC, okay? So some of the assets that have been falling for months, guys, are BCH, Ethereum, and Litecoin, okay? And you can see these mapped out right here. And for the most part, historically, let's see on the 4-hour right there, okay? You could see that this is Litecoin right here, this is BCH and Ethereum right here. For the most part, since the beginning of this bottom that was put in beginning of February, you can see for the most part that LTC has been climbing well above Bitcoin. And then over here, something, when we had that big candle spike from 4,000 to 5,000, right? BCH and LTC just took off, okay? Ethereum lagged a little bit, but for the most part, these two took the throne, okay? So I want to buy into assets that will give me a positive hedge on Bitcoin's movements, meaning let me find the clear winners that are going to move positively when Bitcoin moves positively, okay? And in this case, Litecoin and Litecoin and BCH are two of those assets. So if you go into our community, and again, guys, I'm giving you some free trade setups and analysis, so do check it out, do your own due diligence, okay? So I added a small position of BCH a couple days ago, as you can see on Saturday. I had also added a small position on BTC this morning at 57.10 because I saw some higher lows being created. And then LTC was added a couple of days ago. Okay, where is LTC? There it is. LTC is right here. As you can see, I added it at 79 or so, and I averaged down just a little bit. Okay, and as you can see, I'm still now waiting for Ethereum to give me a good buy level. Unfortunately, it just took off, and I can't buy this retrace, so I'm gonna have to think about exactly how to go about this. Okay. So now we have all these three trades, and here is my position breakdown right here, okay? LTC with 5% capital, BCH with 10% capital, BTC with 5% capital. Now, if Ethereum doesn't retrace, I'm gonna have to pay a higher premium on the price to be able to, ride its wave towards, 190, 200, whatever it's going to. And I don't mind, right? Because if an asset is moving really nicely, sometimes you have to pay a higher premium to be able to ride the wave. And Ethereum in this case is clearly doing a lot better than these alts right here, okay? But every horse and every dog has its day, okay? Today's is Ethereum's day. And eventually, BCH and LTC are going to start taking off too. And this is why we have these hedges right here in place, just so we know that if BTC wants to climb back to 5,800, 5,900, 6,000, I can ride these winners right here with a higher percent gain. All right. I hope that made sense. Do keep an eye on these. And so let's keep on moving. Okay. Another positive reason why I liked LTC is because it finally came and hit the top of this middle channel right here and moved up very sharply. LTC is wanting to move back up towards this 84 level and possibly 100, maybe 99 or so. So I'm quite positive that LTC can definitely do that. Okay. Now let's take a look at BCH. Okay. Here's BCH. This is a odd looking sort of ascending triangle, but you could see what I'm trying to draw with this picture, right? Here's a low being created. Here's sort of a higher low right there. Here's a bunch of rejections right here, right under that wick. And so I'm hoping that prices tighten up in this level and break to the upside pretty sharply to my first target of about 330 all the way to 333. Okay, my next and final target for if Bitcoin moves to say low 6,000s will probably be about 390 on BCH. Okay, so for LTC, my targets are 84 to 100. BCH, my targets are 333 and 391. All right, just something to keep in mind. Okay. Now we talked about the NVT signal. We talked about the Bollinger Bands. We talked about the VPVR, and we talked about how the daily price is extended on the RSI, right? Now let's take a look at something that has been widely true through Bitcoin's historical run, which is the, let me draw this out. I'm going to pull this up here, and we're going to go on the weekly chart, and we're going to map out the 50 moving average on the weekly chart. All right. So on the weekly chart, you can see right here in 2015, prices were well below that 50 moving average and didn't come back to hit this moving average till July 2015, got rejected, and then finally broke past it. Okay, once they broke past it, I mean, they never looked back, right, guys? You could see now that same thing is happening in BTC as you see right here, okay? We see prices hitting past that 50-week moving average. We had that last week close above it, but we have not had a full successful week of closing, or rather opening and closing above it. So I'm hoping that this next candle right here does that for us, okay? Because that will be a extremely positive sign, all right? And then this will essentially give you that positive signal that has been historically true, that we may actually be in the start of the beginning phases of a bull market, all right? So even if you miss this bottom right here, guys, you know, paying twice as much for BTC up here at 6,000 for confirmation is really not a big deal, folks. Like, if you truly believe that, you know, BTC went from $300 to 20K and still has somewhat of the same ability to do so right now, even if we went from 6,000 to 20,000, right? That's still almost a multiple of like 3.1, 3.2. And if we went from, well, I'm sorry, that's a multiple of, yeah, 3.2. And if we went from 3,100 to 20,000, yeah, you missed out on an extra 3x gain. But so what? You didn't have to worry and, you know, keep staring at your monitor to see how Bitcoin prices are doing, because you were eventually worried that the market cap and Bitcoin as an asset would collapse, right? So you have some safety when you start trading and buying above these levels, okay? So I hope that helps you looking at this on a positive note. Here's the monthly chart, and this is also where things get a little interesting, all right? Now, someone told me about this. I don't know who, but credit is all to that person. And so here's the 21 monthly EMA. Okay, the 21 monthly EMA, sort of like the 50 moving average on the weekly that we just saw. You could see that once we broke past this 21 EMA back here in 2014 September, we spent 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, almost 13 months under this area right here. Okay, and then on the 14th month, we finally broke past this area and then just took off. And as you can see, we closed this candle right here, almost similar to this one. And now we're opening this new monthly candle. Okay, so beginning of May just happened like 5 days ago. So in this next monthly candle, if prices were to move up the same way, we would expect a big spike of BTC all the way to, say, 6,500, 7,000, and then close right back down closer to 6,000 or maybe 5,800, okay? That's again assuming if prices move like this. And then we'll have a sideways sort of accumulation in this area for 5 to 6 months, and then prices just keep on moving up and rocketing off, right? So we may actually have accumulation potentially in 7,000, 8,000, 9,000 area if again, if BTC followed this pattern of 2015 and 16 bear market. Okay, I just thought that was something interesting to look at. You know, the person who talked about it seemed really convincing, so I decided to throw that into my analysis. Again, credit goes all to that person. Here's the RSI on the monthly. All right. One thing I like about the RSI, this is really interesting too. Okay, so if we throw down a horizontal line right here, all right, you could see that BTC hit this line, you know, right here in January 2015, the bottom of the bear market, right around the 44 point level. And you could see price hit that same level almost perfectly at, you know, 44, 43 points right here at the beginning of January. Okay. And we bounced off pretty sharply. Okay. So very important sign, even on the monthly. Okay. Now you're probably wondering, okay, what the hell does all this information mean? Because it seems like there's a bull case or a bear case. Well, I just explained to you, you know, a couple of trades that I'm in, right? Now, the reason I explain that I'm in these trades while also stating that, hey, there's a lot of overhead resistance is because I know something that most traders don't is that, hey, I could be wrong, okay? Most traders don't like to admit that when they trade. They rather go in with the idea that they are going to be right. And so they don't hedge their bets properly, and then they get destroyed when price moves against them. All right. So in this case, in case I'm wrong, I have some small exposure to the market. I have some LTC exposure, I have some BCH, and some, you know, King Daddy Bitcoin exposure too. Okay. So for the most part, I know that if BTC moves well, all these are going to get picked up. All right. And I'm going to close off my positions at a pretty healthy gain of maybe, you know, 4, 5, 8%. All right. And I'm not worried about those moonshot alts that go up 30, 40, 50% in a couple of days. Because guys, that's just not, you know, proper trading. You may get lucky once in a while, but you really do not want to be catching, you know, falling knives or going for those moonshots in alts. That's really not how smart traders do it anyway. Okay. A healthy return of, you know, 4 or 5% in a few days or even a couple of weeks is something that most traders or hedge fund managers wish for. All right. And here you're getting that from our community, Cryptosomniac community, on a daily basis, guys. I provide these setups in our community on a daily basis, every single day, and I provide Bitcoin analysis every single morning with multiple updates, you know, through the day. Okay. And I do this every single morning, as you can see, videos every single morning, video every single morning, you know. As our Cryptosomniac motto goes, it's, you know, the markets never sleep and neither do we. All right. So you could see that, you know, we spend a lot of time and energy in this community. So do come join and come sort of experience what we have to offer. All right. Okay. Let's finish this off by looking at some alts. Here's the crypto market cap that excludes BTC, and you can see that the alt market cap is actually taking off. Okay, this is probably in large part some big alts like Ethereum and BCH and LTC pulling off some, you know, market cap away from alts because people want to ride those waves up. And this descending trend line has now finally been broken. So you can see that, you know, BTC, even though it has taken up a large part of the market cap, the alt market cap is not too far behind. Okay, it's at 76 billion right now. So I would say it's going to keep on moving up. First level to watch is a 79 billion area. That's a big resistance level that we have waiting for us. All right. Now let's take a look at XRP. I'm going to do a couple more alts just to finish off this analysis. Here's XRP right here, breaking past 5,400. I've spoken about this pretty much every day in my analysis, guys. I I mentioned XRP from way back here in March. I even mentioned it right here in April. And I've been mentioning it throughout. If you are part of this position, you could have avoided this entire loss right here, almost of a 50-60% drop. So if you're still holding on to it, you may have more pain to go through. From here down, that's probably another 15 to 20% drop. Yep, 20% right there, because that's really one of the largest supports for XRP. Okay, the 4,200, 4,000 region. So do be careful with that if you are still holding on to this position. TRX pretty much looks the same way. No real bounce just yet. It is sort of bouncing off the 786 fib. But we haven't cleanly broken past the previous highs as per these swings right here. So first things first, watch for 450, 480, and then 628 to be safe. Okay, so if you truly want to get into TRX, I just gave you multiple levels to watch out for, and those would be the levels that you want to get in. Okay, if you really are a big believer in TRX for the long term. All right, and then I think that's pretty much it. I did want to look at BTC dominance. So you could see, this doesn't really make sense on a candlestick, but on a line chart, you could see that BTC is actually coming really close. I don't know what happened to the weekly chart. Okay, there we go. All right, so BTC dominance is currently at about 58%. Pretty strong dominance right here. In the bull market ending in 2017 right there, you could see the dominance was almost at 65% for BTC. Okay, and in the 2015 bear market, somewhere around this region, the dominance was pretty much like 90 to 95%. Now, even though we cannot even assume that the dominance will go up to this level right here, what we can assume is that the dominance will probably at some point reach 60 to 65%. Okay, and I truly believe that if BTC gets up that high, it's going to be crippling a lot of alts. All right, and this is why that total market cap, I personally believe what I just showed you earlier, is due for a pretty big pullback. It's going to be the death of a lot of alts, because a lot of people in the crypto space, guys, are really in it for the gains, right? And again, I am too, right? And I can't knock on wanting to be a trader and wanting to make some good lucrative gains. But for the most part, there's a lot of people in the crypto space that are still holding on to a lot of bags, still buying into alts, hoping to recover their 2018 bear market losses. And I think there's going to be a lot of dreams crushed when BTC just keeps taking off and the alts just get left behind in the dust. And, for the most part, people are going to see that and they're going to want to get into BTC to ride that train up. And so they're going to leave those alts behind in the dust. So what's going to happen? Well, if those alts are left behind, that means the market cap drops off. That means the total market cap as a whole will be affected. And if that happens to hundreds and thousands of alts, which we know there are too many of alts anyway, that there's going to be a big reckoning coming. Okay, so just something that I've been thinking about lately is how can BTC take off and not let the alts sort of hold it down? Well, it has to take off in a manner where it is providing far more gains than other alts. And the way it can do that is slowly grind up. And every time, the alts start popping off, BTC will dump or it'll take off even higher, which will leave, again, the alts behind, forcing people to jump into BTC either for safety or for gains. Okay? I spoke about a lot of things today. I know I covered a lot. If you have any questions, please do join our Cryptosomniac Discord, guys. A lot of information here. Fairly active channel. We have an education section. We have a news section. We have resources to help you become a better trader. I've created a course even, which is only $10. I put in like 8 hours of work in this, but I wanted to give it to you for, the price of a meal, because I know how important it is to be able to understand technicals, not only for the crypto space, but for equities or commodities, options, whatever you want to learn, right? So do come join cryptosomniac.com, get the Advantage program, message me. I'm always here, so hope to see you guys soon. Take care and have a great night. All right. Cheers.